The holidays have officially hit at Nen Garden, and they're following up their Black Friday with a huge sale continuing. If you go ahead right now and buy any 2 playmats on their website, you can get the Sun God playmat for $9.99, which is basically a steal when we're talking about playmats, right? They've also got a special deal on their pins where if you buy 2 of them, you get a third one for 50% off. So not only do you get these incredible deals, but my affiliate code actually stacks on top of it to save you even more money this holiday season. Spread the holiday cheer by using code Atrocious at checkout for 10% off your order on these already great deals. The link to Nen Garden's website will be in the description below, and thank you so much for supporting one of our great friends here in the community. Happy holidays to you, and let's get back into the video. And so the matchup that we've got here for you, as you saw by the title and thumbnail, is Jinbe and Mihawk. Jinbe's got some stuff in his hand. Looks like that his package of Jinbe is more oriented to the 7 Warlords of the Sea, right? This is a version of the deck that we've saw a ton in this format. You've got a Chew to start out as a 1-drop, as well as a 1-drop Trafalgar Law from the old starter deck. A different Trafalgar Law, and that's that 4-cost from the Doflamingo starter deck, as well as a 2-cost Koala 2K and a Jozu. Doesn't look like to be a terrible hand, but I kind of honestly would like to have Arlong instead of Chew at the start of the game. The Mihawk, though, has a little bit of searching himself with a Kid Killer. That's that 2-drop right now, maybe running a more supernova version of Dracula Mihawk, something that we've seen once or twice in these championships already with Mihawk. You've also got some 2Ks in Kiku Nojo and Scratchman Apu, right? Scratchman Apu, a supernova that you can find off of Kid Killer, and also has a couple 5-drops in Perona and Tashigi. Perona, not as frequent as I think a lot of people anticipated in Dracula Mihawk, but some players running full counts of 4 while some only run 1 or 0. Jinbe's leader effect, if you do not know, if you trash a card from hand, you can attach 2 Rested Dawn to a merfolk type character or leader, and then Dracula Mihawk, if you have a 5-cost on the field or higher, you can rest 1 card and restand 3 Dawn, not being able to play any characters for the rest of the turn. Usually they show off the leaders on screen. They didn't this time around in the championship, so wanted to get that in for you guys. The Jinbe obviously going first and using Chew. Now passing off the turn is going to go to Dracula Mihawk, sitting at 5 life now on a 2-Dawn turn, is just going to play down Kid Killer, right? Be able to look through the deck, find a supernova, and as well with that opponent's attack is going to be able to restand a Dawn for a potential event. Finds a 5-drop Bonnie. 5-drop stun Bonnie could actually be pretty good in this matchup, right? The thing about Jinbe that Jinbe's love is utilizing these small bodies like Arlong, like Chew, to be able to swing on attacks because you can constantly reutilize Dawn, right? Especially as someone like Arlong is a 3,000 power character. And so being able to stun it means that that's 1 less turn that you've got swinging in at you. So now off of the Arlong is going to grab a Wasabi there. Wadashimi, I believe, is actually the name, having read the hiragana. And so attaches to and just swings 7, right? Don't have any way really to utilize even more Dawn. Maybe don't want to swing in at these different characters, right? Especially because Kid Killer could threaten for an attack as well, and just goes in with lead. After taking it, now has built up a couple different Tashigis in their hand. 3 different Tashigis. We also see a 0-cost event as well. A great card in a lot of green decks just to be able to filter out of those bricks that you've got in hand. Starts off playing Scratchman Apu, so goes a little bit more on the aggressive side, being able to rest a 2-cost or less. Goes ahead now, swings 3,000 power at this Arlong and creates the knockout there. Now swinging 5,000 power at lead is just going to go ahead and take the life. Wants to build up some cards in the hand. Could definitely counter, but opts not to right now. And so with the rest of the 2 Dawn is going to go ahead with the Kiku Nojo, especially when you don't have a Coffin Boat on the field. Kiku Nojo is a nice body to place down on the field as it has that end of turn restand every single turn. But especially if Jinbe continues to play these 1-drops onto the field, you've got stuff like Kid Killer, Scratchman Apu, Kiku Nojo that have a threat to be able to knock out some of these bodies that get rested. On the 5-Dawn turn, the Jinbe's got Trafalgar Law from starter deck 17, but there's nothing really that you love putting back into your opponent's hand, right? With Kid Killer being a searcher, and then the other two bodies on the Mihawk side being 2/2Ks, Trafalgar Law really doesn't work in this scenario as it only bounces 4 costs or less back into the hand. They are going to go in, though, with this Jinbe, a 6,000 power swing, hit for a second straight turn, maybe making the Jinbe think that they've got bricks in the hand. Ends up playing the Watatsumi. Hard remembering some of these names when you're not fully caught up on One Piece. Watashimi is the target. He is thinking about using leader effect right now and is going to go ahead and put that on the Chew. We'll see if he decides to swing 5,000 power with it. And attaches the last active Dawn and goes ahead and swings 6,000 power. If you do not know the Watatsumi effect on there, it has an ongoing effect saying this character cannot attack. But if you trash a card from hand by one of your effects, the character's effect is negated during the turn. So as soon as you use your Jinbe leader effect, you'll be able to swing with Watatsumi right in this next turn. Just trying to keep up pace with bodies right now, especially because you can pick this up later with Trafalgar Law if you wanted to. And after the 6,000 power swing connects onto the Mihawk now sitting at 2 life after the 5-Dawn turn, Jinbe's 3rd turn of the game, just building cards in hand, especially because a lot of Jinbes play something like Pudding. It's very odd, in my opinion, to see a Mihawk be so aggressive on the counter, but goes ahead on the first swing with lead, countering out of a Trafalgar Law, now swinging at Chew. You got the -1 card in hand from the leader swing, so he's trying to think and trying to see how much non-counter he has, right? How much do you want to commit to this Chew right now? And is thinking about pitching a card for it in that Trafalgar Law. I talked about how Trafalgar Law, kind of like a dead card at this point, may just be trying to set himself up for an easier Fisher Tiger in the next turn as well. Perona is going to come down on the field, a perfect counter card for a deck like Jinbe, right? Perona being able on that on play to prevent 2 characters with costs of 5 or less from resting in the next turn. So resting includes swinging, blocking, using an activate main that would rest the character, right? So both of those characters cannot swing. After using leader effect to rest the Perona and restand 3 Dawn, because now you have a 5 cost on the field, he's thinking about going aggressive with Kiku Nojo, right? Attaching 3 Dawn, all 3 that were restood on the turn and swinging in. I think this is going at lead and not the Chew. And he's thinking about pitching the Fisher Tiger. I don't know if I would pitch Fisher Tiger at this point, right? Fisher Tiger has that draw 3 effect on that on play. Is such a good card to constantly be refilling the hand. But maybe he's thinking about a turn next turn where he's playing something like Jozu, right? Jozu does have some benefits. You can remove a big threat like Perona off the field, although it would once again stun your characters. Is going to go ahead and pitch the Jozu anyways. And so the end of turn, Kiku Nojo will restand and will pass on to the Jinbe's turn. Jinbe now going to 7 Dawn, can go ahead and play Fisher Tiger, right, to draw a raw 3. A Pudding comes in the hand. And so Pudding could be really interesting if you try to focus your leader at something like the Perona on this turn, or maybe try to go once again at lead, and instead goes in with Fisher Tiger, right? Fisher Tiger being the raw draw 3 cards, has the end of turn effect of trashing cards in your hand until you have 5 or less. Now that the Jinbe is at 6 cards in hand, he's only going to have to trash 1 card, but he can trash that 1 card right now if he wants with his leader effect. He's found a couple different 2Ks. I think all 3 of those cards on the Fisher Tiger draw were 2Ks in the Hina, right? That unblockable Navy card that we see very frequently, a Koala, and also a Watatsumi. So if I had to take a guess, is definitely going to be pitching at least one of these cards in the hand. May want to think about saving the Pudding for, like I mentioned, I mean, no cards have hit the trash yet. There are, in theory, more cards on Charlotte Pudding going into the deck as of right now than before, but pitches 2 2Ks in Watatsumi in the Hina to swing 10,000 power, attaching the extra active Dawn as well, putting the Mihawk 2-1. And here's what I was saying. He might be setting up a Charlotte Pudding in the next turn, right? Charlotte Pudding, and then being able maybe to swing with the Fisher Tiger at lead, maybe trash a couple cards in hand to reutilize the Dawn on Watatsumi, on Fisher Tiger, on your leader. Could be an aggressive stance where you try to just go all in next turn if there's not a 5-cost Perona that comes back down on the field to re-stun some of these characters. And so Draco Mihawk at 8 Dawn right now. Only 8 Dawn is crazy to think about sometimes. Has a couple different options, right? We see the 7-cost Shanks in the hand. Could be good to rest one of these characters proactively, and also minus 1,000 the entire side of the field for Jinbe on the characters to make the defense a little bit easier, but starts out with a 5,000 power swing. So one of the things you got to think about too as Jinbe at this point in the game is you don't have another Fisher Tiger to be able to draw cards in the next turn. So if you more willingly take life, right, there's another character that could come down onto the field that is a little hard to get rid of and that you would probably ignore if you're going for a lethal game state off of Pudding in the next turn. So you want to be careful about how much life you're taking at certain points, right? You want to have like a decent mix of taking life but also countering out. And so ends up playing that Shanks, using leader effect to rest the Shanks. When you do, you're going to be able to rest a 7,000 power or more character on the field and is going to go ahead at that Fisher Tiger. After restanding a ton of Dawn, is going to attach 4 and swing at Fisher Tiger. And this Fisher Tiger, you can actually just pitch 2 2Ks in the hand to be able to go to 11,000 power. It would be literally everything that you have not named Charlotte Pudding. And then on the draw for turn, you would only have 1 card. But I think you need this body on the field right now. Even if it were to go away in the next turn, right? You really want it for this swing because Draco Mihawk, right, is sometimes a bricky deck. Sometimes you just get unlucky and draw all of your Law and Beppos, your Dead Man's Game when you have no Dawn left as active, even some Shanks as well. And I think you kind of got to hope for that at this point. So ends up using those 2Ks, draws for turn a Hachan, right, which is a brick in the hand, so not going to be doing any favors for you on the draw, but a perfect card to pitch. So is going to go for this Pudding play, like I mentioned, put all the cards back in the deck. Draco Mihawk not pitching any cards, right, especially with 5 characters on the field and 4 life taken. I think the deck is sitting at 44 cards. Right, and so he's only going to be able to draw 5 of them to go to 39, not having set up his trash really at all and maintained his hand size. So in here, did draw a little bit of counter, so lethal, especially with only 1 card in hand, could be tough in my opinion, but does only need 2 swings to connect, so goes ahead with 2 Dawn attached to the Fisher Tiger and swings 9,000 power at lead, but with the Shanks being rested, it's only 8,000 power at lead at this point. And so an 8,000 power swing at lead can get out of it, but it would be interesting if you took the life right here, right? Because all the other swings start out as less than that. So is going to go ahead and attach the rest to Jinbe with a 10,000 power swing and is just going to pitch it all away after getting a little bit more counter off the draw. Is going to be the exact math that he needs to be able to get out of that. And the good thing right now, though, I would say, is that you're still at 4 life. 5 swings need to connect for the Draco Mihawk, but you've got 3 characters as active in the Charlotte Pudding, the Watatsumi, and also the Chew, right? If you can survive on this turn, there's a decent chance that with your 3 different swings, you'll be able to go in for a game, especially because Jinbe could find something like a Perfume Femur to be able to give unblockable to his leader. This is not Perfume Femur. This is that 6-cost event that Jinbe runs. Gum Red Rock, right? Red Rock has some benefits to be able to utilize because of being able to bottom deck one of these characters. If you're worried about a kind of lethal swing at this point, right? Because you know the Shanks is going to swing, you know the Perona is going to swing, leader is going to swing, and more than likely going to connect on life, maybe it's beneficial to do something like bottom deck the Kid Killer. Right? Your options are bottom decking either Scratchman, Apu, or Kid Killer, because Red Rock only on the trigger bottom decks a 4 cost or less, and especially with 7 Dawn still to work with for this Dracula Mihawk, it might make it a little bit harder for him to use lethal math or try to pivot into another play, especially because Red Rock in your hand is going to be a brick and not something you can really use on counter, especially when you think about it this long as a trigger. Your opponent has to know that it has to be some sort of trigger card, right? And typically what the Jinbes run in their decks at this point in terms of events is Perfume Femur and also Red Rock. And so is going to go ahead and Red Rock the Kid Killer. I like this play, right? If they tap out all the way, it's going to be a little bit harder for them to be able to utilize some Dawn. We've got Adeline in the first life. We've got Perona coming in on another swing, is going to take that second life. It's not a 2K, so the 7K swing is going to connect, and as that's not any sort of zero cost event, is going to go ahead and win the game, especially with the 0 card hand, right? It was a little difficult, and that's the big thing about Jinbe, in my personal opinion. You really have to balance about your hand size. A very aggressive deck, and a good one at that, right? We've seen a couple different top cuts in these Japan Championships already in this season. So long as they can consistently replenish the hand and utilize a good mix of like leader effect, but also playing cards out on the field and countering, it's a winning game plan for Jinbe. The Perona doing a lot of work as well, preventing some swings from Watatsumi and Chu, right? Might have been just the card that he needed to be able to have enough counter to get out of the different attacks that were coming his way. But a good match nonetheless, even if it didn't go the Jinbe's way. I know I got a lot of Jinbe fans that watch the videos, as me too. I'm a Jinbe fan. I like watching the Jinbe deck. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. In terms of deck lists, if you want to see deck lists from this championship, I have posted a lot of them in my Discord server. I posted the Twitter account of the Jinbe player, but at this point in the recording, they have not posted their deck list yet. But if you want to go follow them on like Twitter, you can definitely do that. I've got their link there. And I've got a lot of other lists from this tournament as well that I've started placing on not only this, but here in the next 24 hours or so, we'll start populating on One Piece top decks. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you in the top 8 round of the video, which if you're watching this as soon as this comes out, the top 8 video should be coming out later today.